Well, I mean, everyone's talking about it, so. Hi everyone and welcome to Saluso, and yes, today we are talking about the new collaboration between Omega and Swatch with their Moonswatch. This has got the internet buzzing, especially since the initial models leaked a few days ago. A lot of people are saying that, it's cheap in the brand and this is terrible, but at the same time it's brought a ton of attention both to Swatch and to Omega. So I wanted to address that. Does this really cheapen the brand, or is this just a very good marketing exercise? So to do that, I'm going to give a few examples from other industries that have done a similar sort of thing. Starting with the automotive industry, now Adrian from Bark & Jack actually did an analogy where he said it's like if they took a Lamborghini Aventador, made it out of plastic, and then put the engine from a Polo in it. That's probably maybe a bit extreme, but there are actually a few examples within the car industry of a similar sort of thing. Co-branding between a luxury brand and a sort of mass market brand, where the luxury brand has put in sort of their aesthetic cues as well as, of course, their brand identity and sold a cheaper product essentially for a markup. One example of this is the Aston Martin Signet, which underneath was a Toyota IQ. And honestly, apart from the grille and the interior, it was a Toyota IQ. Another example, a little bit closer maybe to what actually happened between Omega and Swatch, considering that Omega is owned by Swatch, is Fiat and Ferrari. Ferrari for the longest time has been owned by the Fiat group, and Fiat made an Abarth Fiat 500 with Ferrari badging, the idea being that it was a limited edition, special edition Abarth. But of course, it didn't have a Ferrari engine or really any engineering input from Ferrari itself. It was just a more expensive Abarth. And in both these cases, really, did they do very much to dilute the brand? I would argue no. In the case of the Signet especially, it was actually a sales flop. So they just moved on and just stopped production. Meanwhile, another example I think that is even closer to this is collaborations between fashion houses. A few years ago, there was a lot of collaborations between high fashion houses and H&M. You had Versace by H&M, you had Cavalli by H&M, Kenzo, and in all these cases, the clothing was manufactured by H&M, so obviously it wasn't the same high quality. However, the design was done by these famous fashion houses using their iconic designs. I actually had one of the belts from Versace by H&M. It was a great looking belt. It harked back to the 90s designs. However, it also didn't last as long as a proper Versace belt. So the quality isn't the same, but you do get the look. And in all of these cases, I think that honestly, they don't really cheapen the brand in the least, because what happens is they just open up the brand to more people. It builds a lot of awareness. And as long as they're not really regular production, they serve only that purpose. It gives people a taste of what it's like to have, that Ferrari, what it's like to have that Aston Martin, or that clothing by Versace, or in this case, that watch by Omega. It gives them a taste without the full thing. If they had made it to exactly the same quality, then it might have some risk of cheapening the brand. Because if you think of something like Tudor, which is another parallel people have drawn, in that case, those for the longest time were Rolex watches, just with cheaper movements on the inside. They'd even have Rolex branding on some of the crowns and cases. They would be the exact same ones. The only thing that changed was on the inside and, of course, the price. And that didn't even cheapen the brand for Rolex either. Still very highly regarded. And that arguably should have, because the quality, barring the movements, was pretty much the same in terms of build quality. So I think that as long as Swatch keeps this in a relatively short production run, they've already said it's not going to be a limited edition, I think this is a great success for them. I think that this will build more awareness for people outside of the watch world to have the Moonwatch, to have a little bit of that history. And while, yes, they may lose a few people who think, oh, now that they make a cheaper one, I'll never get a Moonwatch, or maybe they feel bad about their Moonwatch, I don't know. At the end of the day, really, if you have a Moonwatch or if you wanted one, after this release, ask yourself, do you want one less because you know there's a cheaper version? Again, bringing it back to Rolex, between older Tudors, between all the homage watches, it still manages to be probably the most desirable watch brand on a massive scale, despite all of these things that should in theory be diluting its brand. So on that basis, why would we draw any different conclusion for Omega? I think this was a good move for them by creating this little mini hype queen What they've done is they've brought a lot of attention to their brand, and that'll be more than worth the 1 or 2% of people who previously wanted a Speedmaster who now think it's been diluted. In my view, at the end of the day, if you want a Speedmaster, a proper one, you'll get it. If you want just a taste of it, you'll get the Moonswatch. And if you want just a cool looking watch made out of an interesting material, which is this bioceramic, then you'll just buy it and enjoy it. So really, I think it wins on pretty much every count. I don't think there's any real downside to this unless they keep it in for long-term production. And in that, we're talking, something in years. Knowing Swatch's business model, however, and how quickly they go in and out of collections, I don't think this is going to be around for too long, so it won't create a lasting problem. But let me know in the comments below, what do you think? Do you like this idea? Do you not? Do you think it cheapens the Omega brand or not? And if so, why? And I think the most important question of all is, after this, has this really changed how much you want a Moonwatch, whether you wanted one or not before? I think that's the real answer as to whether this has cheapened the brand or just served to build more awareness. But in any case, if you like this video, make sure you like it and share it. If you want to see more pictures and infographics of watches, make sure you follow me on Instagram at Shaluso. And if you want to see more videos of watches, then subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell as well so you know when the next video comes out. In any case, thanks for watching this video, and we'll catch you on the next one.